We're gonna light this thing on fire probably.
Good morning. It's freezing outside once again in North Carolina here, but I got to do some work on this ST, and I'm pretty sure I have all the parts here to complete it today. I have the control arms for the rear, left tire, suspension actually. I have a wiring harness that I was missing. I have a speed sensor for the front and a bunch of trim pieces, which when I ordered these I didn't know they come with the sensors. I do have my original sensors, but they kind of got crushed. I was going to reuse them, but I'm glad they came with the new pieces. That's why these pieces were the most expensive ones, because they come with a sensor. Also, these got both of them brand new. So this thing's going to get put together, and hopefully I'm going to take it on the first drive on the road today. And yes, I ended up buying this complete front harness because I think it's damaged in multiple places, and I was missing a connector for the adaptive cruise, which goes right behind this bumper here. So I was missing that connector anyways, and that connector was like almost impossible to get. You know, I did find one that was aftermarket, and here it is here. It was aftermarket, and you know, I was like, I don't want to take any chances. This harness was like 150 bucks. I'd rather replace it and not worry about it, you know, being pinched somewhere else or whatever. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this bumper off. It's not installed all the way anyways. I'm gonna take the bumper off for one last time, replace the harness, put the adaptive cruise thing back on, and hopefully all the codes will go away. See, I was missing this connector right here. Now I have the whole harness. Problem solved. Alright, so I got the harness swapped out. It's a perfect fit. It came with all the little zip ties with the push pins and everything like that. So it's all assembled. It's ready to go back on the car. And I've got that sensor. Got the temp sensor up here. So everything should be working now. So you're probably wondering why there's a subframe chilling next to the 2021 Ford Explorer ST. And the bad news is, the way Ford designed the subframe is, if you curb a wheel or you hit the wheel, instead of bending the control arms like normal cars, it bends these paper thin brackets. Look, I can move them by hand. So that is exactly what happened. The control arm that holds the wheel in place actually is not bent because I got a new one and it's exactly the same. But these ears right here actually got bent. So I could go ahead and straighten them out, but I gotta remove the subframe to do that. So if I'm gonna remove the subframe, I'm gonna go ahead and swap it out because I don't want any alignment issues in the future. So not only that, I also have to replace the driver's side motor mount, which also snapped all 4 of the mount points, and the all-wheel drive inner shaft on the driver's side also cracked. So that is a common thing on these Ford Explorers, the all-wheel drive ones. If it gets hit in the wheel in the front anywhere, it actually breaks the motor mount regardless. You got to change that out. And I was lucky to find these parts close by in Charlotte, North Carolina, 2 hours away. The guy had everything I need. So today, hopefully, I'm gonna go ahead and put this thing on a lift. That's why I brought it to the shop, because it's gonna be much easier to do than to do it in the driveway. So I'm gonna go ahead and lift it up, remove the exhaust and everything else, and get this subframe installed. And hopefully by the end of today, it's already like 1 p.m. But hopefully by the end of today, this thing is going to be all wrapped up. I got all the pieces to it. Here's the splash shield, brand new. There's a fender pieces right there. So hopefully after today, I'll be able to get alignment and register this thing and just pass it on to my wife and have her daily it. That's it. I'm done with this car. I replaced everything. I don't even want to know how much this thing's costing me, because I'm pretty sure I would have been better off just going to buy a used one off the lot for 35, 40 grand probably. Alright, so let's take a closer look what actually needs to happen. And no matter how I look at it, I'm gonna have to remove the whole suspension on both sides, obviously, and exhaust, which would be nice if I had the new exhaust already. This would have been a good time to swap it out, because I can't have this, the fake exits like to the bottom. I gotta have, you know, something decent. But anyways, then you gotta remove the drive shaft, obviously, the rear diff, and after that the subframe should come down. So it's gonna take some time, but it has to be done, all because the, if you can see right there, those mounts actually got bent. The control arms are fine, both of them are not bent at all, but the upper mounts right there bent, and they're fixable. You know, I could take the whole subframe down, straighten it out, and then put it right back up. But if I'm gonna do that, I already have a new piece right here. This piece actually has only like 5,000 miles on it. Car has 35,000 miles on it. So the way I see it, this car is gonna be brand new when it's done, because everything on here was replaced. All suspension, everything. All of this, whatever you see here, is all new on both sides. It's crazy. But yeah, so over here, if you can see, the motor mount is broken. All 4 mounts. That, and then there's a crack right here on the inner shaft, which I could probably get away with, but I'm not gonna have that, because I'm not doing this again anytime soon, especially on the same vehicle. It can be another ST Explorer, but not this one. That's scary, right? So basically the motor is just kind of chilling on the, it's hanging on something. Hanging on something. At least this side of the mount is actually okay. So let's start. I guess I'm gonna go ahead and remove the exhaust from here. Drop it. There's nothing more exciting than getting new tools for Christmas. It's just so satisfying. This is exactly what I wanted. I wanted the 1/4 inch set and the 3/8, and now I have them both. This is very convenient. It's super slim. Milwaukee is the way to go. I haven't even opened it yet. Actually excited to do this subframe swap. Okay. The more I look at it, the more I'm like, maybe I should just straighten it out and not worry about changing it. Oh, I don't want to take this whole thing apart. Alright, here's the plan. I'm going to lower it onto this pallet, which is also on wheels, and I'm going to get the 4 main bolts on the subframe, and hopefully I can lower it enough and then pull it back to where I don't have to remove the drive shaft from the front, because there's a lot of shields going on over here, and by the time I get all those shields out, it's gonna be next year. So I'm gonna get, I already got all the 4 bolts loose on the subframe, and let's see if this works. If not, plan B. Alright, so here's what I'm thinking. I've got the subframe down, it's kind of sideways, and the drive shaft does not really want to come out. And I really don't care if it does, because I think I'm just gonna, there's plenty of room for me to work right now. I'm just gonna go ahead and unbolt the old subframe, take it out, bolt everything back up, and that way I don't have to drain any fluids or pull the axles out. Everything's gonna be original still, including the drive shaft. I think it should just come out on splines or whatever, but if it doesn't want to, that's fine. We're not gonna force it. As far as the damage, it's right here. If you couldn't see it earlier, you can see it now. Just this thing is just so thin. I don't know why they have such a thin material here holding control arms. I think this is the only one that bent, and that's why the wheel was sort of cambered and towed in. So whatever, it is what it is. I'm gonna go ahead and swap this out real quick and reassembly. So this is going pretty good. It's only like an hour in, and I'm halfway done with this, and then I still gotta do the motor mount. Oh my goodness. All right. I'd like to say that the hard part is out of the way. I've got all the bolts started, nothing's tight. What I like to do is I raised it up because I like the subframe to hang, sort of find its place once again, even though I'm going to get alignment regardless, but I still want the subframe to be exactly where it was. So at this point, I'm kind of glad that I didn't have to drain any of the diff fluid or anything, and the drive shaft stayed in the whole time, so did the axles. So it's all looking good. Still can't believe that this is made out of paper here, you know, and got bent, and this is the whole reason why I had to change the subframe, because of this. Yes, I know I could have straightened this out, but to straighten it out I have to remove it. I removed it and I had another piece, so I put a new piece on. Now I know the alignment's going to be 100% in the rear and the front because everything is new. All the control arms in the front, everything is new. Now I'm just going to have to put the shields back on, tighten all the bolts under here, and reassemble the calipers and everything. So it's looking good. I think I'm a couple hours into this so far, but it's going better than I thought, to be honest. So again, I wish I had the new exhaust so I could just go ahead and put that on. Also, probably should have got some lowering springs. These things kind of sit a little high. I mean, it is an all-wheel drive, but it would be cooler if it was a little bit lower. That being said, I still can't forget about the motor mount and the inner shaft in the front. Once I get those two things knocked out, I can go ahead and remove the bumper once again, and somehow I gotta splice the camera wire. Never done that before, but I got some connectors and some special tool or something like that. So we're gonna try that out. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to change the whole body harness. Well, the rear subframe's all put together. Everything is torqued tight. Everything, I double checked all the bolts and everything. So it's up to alignment to get it to drive straight. Everything else is looking good on both sides. This wheel is actually straight now instead of doing that. I'm not gonna put the exhaust on just yet because if I remember correctly, the last Explorer I worked on, it was a 3.3 non-turbo, but I'm pretty sure it's the same thing. To change this motor mount that's cracked, I will have to remove this bank 2 cat out of the way. So I already have it disconnected, so it'll be easier. Just gotta loosen the 2 nuts up there, up top, and then remove this guy. Probably remove this bracket here just to get more room to play with, and then once I lower it, I can remove the wheel, remove the axle, and remove the inner shaft, and then I should have plenty of room to remove the actual motor mount. That's how I did it last time, but it was a different engine. Still a 2020 Explorer, same body style, but different engine. So this should be fun. Should give me enough room to get the axle out. And it does. This axle is new. All this control arm, the strut, everything is new. Speed sensor is new. Everything up here is new. I wish I would have seen the inner shaft crack before I assembled this. I would have changed it right away, but I didn't, so gotta do it now. What a pain this is on the driver's side. That one's broken. I don't know how that one's supposed to go in. Got the engine lifted as much as I can. Had to remove the driver's side cat completely, starter, and the axle shaft, which I had to remove anyways. And finally I was able to rip that thing out of here. I don't know how the new one's gonna go in here. No idea. Oh, also I had to remove the transmission cooler on the side of the transmission because I couldn't lift the engine anymore. It was hitting the vehicle here. So remove that. Lost a little bit of fluid, no big deal. I'll top it off when I'm done with this, but I just hope I can get that new piece in here without removing the turbo or anything else. I guess I could have lowered the subframe some. That would have helped me a lot, but I have the car lifted on the subframe, so I'll have to lower it, reset it, lift it back up. So hopefully the new piece will go in, no issues, and then I could just move on. If not, we're gonna light this thing on fire probably. Well, with some sort of miracle, this thing actually went in easier than the old one came out, which doesn't make sense because this one's actually a solid piece and the other one's missing mounts and stuff like that. So it's kind of weird, but I'm glad it kind of fit in there, no problem. Right now I'm gonna go ahead and get all 4 bolts started. I'll leave the starter off because I'll do that last. I'm gonna go ahead and get the bolts started, and then I'm gonna put the new shaft in, inner shaft, and that should do it, I hope. All right, so I was finally able to tighten down the motor mount and the inner shaft. I actually had to do it twice because I tightened the motor mount to the engine and then I couldn't get the shaft in because there's a 3rd bolt that is kind of hidden behind the motor mount, so I was not able to get to it. So I had to remove the motor mount once again, but now I got it all tightened. Starter is back on, and now I can go ahead and lower it, and the engine should sit in its place finally. If you remember earlier, there was no gap here. It was just super destroyed. But not only that the motor mount broke, the bolts also bent, and luckily I got new bolts with the used piece that I got from the guy in Charlotte, so everything is looking good. This thing here, I mean, I'm sure I could have just kept it, but it's got a slight crack right there, and I don't want to have any issues in the future. So glad all that got sorted out. Now I can put the transmission cooler back in its place. And my other issue is when I took the studs out, that's what they look like. Alright, so I was able to refresh the threads in the turbo and put new studs. The studs actually are the same from a Ford Focus, so I won't need these anymore. That's wild how it just didn't break. It sort of killed the threads on the bolt, but it's all good. I'm just hoping that the studs won't be in the way when I put the exhaust back on. And once I put the exhaust up, I gotta somehow get my hands in there and start those two nuts. So that's gonna be fun. Well, I'm happy to say that everything under here is all assembled and the exhaust back up. I am gonna change the exhaust later down the road because it is scraped over here and bent, and plus I don't like the exit tips because they actually point down. I'm assuming they had problems with the fumes going in the trunk or something like that, so they pointed it down. So it looks kind of funny to me. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the nice quad exhaust, bigger tips, probably bigger everything. Well, that pretty much completes this 2021 Ford Explorer ST rebuild. This wheel is still sitting a little crooked, but I think alignment should take care of that. It's all adjustable in there. The subframe is new. So I guess what's left is check for codes and take it on the test drive. And then obviously tune it. I'm no tuner, but I know a guy. So we're looking good so far. The only light is on is the TPMS light. It's because I'm missing sensors in all these wheels. I purchased these wheels brand new takeoffs, but the previous owner stole the sensors for his new set, so I'll have to go and get some new sensors. But that's the only light on the dash at the moment. Alright, so there's still a couple issues with like the pre-collision and stuff like that. And this thing is driving all weird. It needs alignment bad. So let's see how we can take it for a drive down the road. First official drive when it's complete. Dang, this thing needs alignment bad. But I'm just gonna take it around the block and see how she does. Well, this thing drives decent, but besides the alignment's way off. This wheel is turned. This wheel is still off like crazy, but you know, all the suspension components have been moved or replaced, so obviously it needs all four-wheel alignment. But other than that, she's looking good. I think she's ready for a tune. Just gotta make sure she's got some 93 in it.